Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Bob Waldron and welcome to a new product review. We're going to be looking at some Red Fox Studios. They do these really cool sort of quick set 3D acrylic instrument display panels. If you've been watching along with our Harrier recently, we have used some of these, what was it? They were 3D decals. I don't know if we can get you to focus in there, but we had these 3D decals and they did prove to be a little bit of a pain. So I got recommended these, right? These 3D acrylic instrument display panels. Now I've got a couple in here to show you. We have some FA18C Hornets and a couple of different ones in here. Right, just to show you, but I've just opened up our first one here. It is the P40 Warhawk, right? So let's have a quick look at the actual pieces themselves. So we're trying to get you nice and focused in and as close as we can get, and hopefully what you can see is actually we've got some really nice dial detail in there, looking actually very well detailed. I mean, we're getting pretty close with the camera, but if we sort of nicely sort of come at an angle here, what you'll hopefully see is how raised the buttons are, how three-dimensional the whole thing is, right? And that is the cool thing about these, right? I mean, really, we could go off and compare them to something like Edard's photo etch. I mean, it's probably the big one out there. That's what we've been using for years, and all this kind of like 3D printing is starting to come about, right? And what you'll notice, I mean, in all honesty, if we sort of try and bring you in on the photo etch and sort of compare them, the real sort of big difference here is, I mean, it's the three-dimensional side of things. I mean, if you could sort of see our photo etch compared to this 3D acrylic instrument display panel, they are way more three-dimensional, and that is kind of like the big advantage that we are seeing here. Not only that, it's sort of like the instrument display panel on photo etch is normally sort of like you kind of get two layers and glue them together to give it a bit more of a three-dimensional look, whereas these are all one piece, hopefully, as you can see. I don't know if you're picking it up on camera, but even the dials, they are sort of glassed over, so they look all nice and glassy and shiny as well. So just a quick look at the instructions, because if you've been following the Harrier, you'll notice that they didn't give us instructions and they want us to place stuff where there wasn't anything to place on, but we do get them with the Warhawk. Now what you'll see with these instructions, they do say that they are bendable, they are UV protected, which is also a good one. However, if you kind of go down the instructions a bit, they do kind of go attention, these acrylic parts must not be cut with a scalpel because they break easily, handled with care, and that actually the bendable side of it is only a 5-degree bend. So let's put that to the test. Let's see what we are dealing with here. So let's try and bring you in and let's just snap one of these. Let's just see, you know, how much of a bend you can get. Okay, I'm just bending this now very slowly. Actually, that does seem a little bit more than a 5-degree bend to me. Hopefully, as you can see, I mean, still no snap. Oh, and there we go. So it will go, it does seem as though it will go a little bit more than 5 degrees. I mean, that was almost coming up to a 90-degree turn, but when it does go, as you can see, it just snaps like so, but not too shabby. Let's try this scalpel business that they warn us about. If I wanted to, say, trim this up to maybe fit into a cockpit, yeah, there you go. You don't really cut, it just kind of cracks. So yeah, maybe it would be a sanding job if you needed to, say, trim this to fit. And yeah, that does seem to be sanding rather nicely, no big deal. Right, oh, by the way, I mean, this particular one here is about the £12.99 mark. Yeah, price wise, a little bit more than, say, your average photo etch. The other thing I wanted to test was, because I did accidentally used some Tamiya extra in cement on our ones in our Harrier here, so I'm actually going to I want to put this on something that I'm not going to ruin my table with. I'll just put it on this. Right, I'm just going to see how it reacts to stuff like the Tamiya type extra thin cement. See if it does anything, messes about with it. Let's have a look. I've just put a nice bit on there. It'll probably maybe rub off whatever paint, although actually it hasn't done anything, which is nice to know. I mean, I'm rubbing at this whatever paint or whatever it is on here, that is not budging. That is rather good actually. Okay, so it looks like it's safe to use stuff like Tamiya extra thin cement. You have to glue it with something like super glue or PVA glue, by the way, to actually get it to stick down, but it's just in case you were sort of like gluing other plastic parts around this. If you accidentally got Tamiya extra thin cement, would it do anything to it? Which it looks like it has not. Right, so not too shabby. And if you wanted to sort of say get these pieces off, it just seems like they just kind of just peel off like so, sort of nice and easy. And apart from that, I mean, that is pretty much it. I mean, the instructions, they do sort of get us there rather sort of nicely. If you want to sort of, you know, maybe pause as I go along, but it does show you the kit parts, and you know, maybe you've got to sort of like sand back the detail on the kit parts, and then you sort of glue them in, and it shows you where they all go. So final conclusion is actually, admittedly, they look better than photo etch, right? But they seem to be more expensive than photo etch at this moment in time. Maybe it's one of these things as like the whole 3D sort of printing stuff kind of goes along. Maybe these kind of things can get cheaper and stuff. I don't know. But it is a bit more expensive, but it is better detail looking at it. It's more three-dimensional. It even seems maybe like it would install a little bit quicker and easier as well. I know with photo etch you kind of stick layers on top, but because this is more three-dimensional, as you see, the instrument display panel was like one piece, just stick that down, super glue, PVA glue, that kind of thing. Doesn't seem to react with anything, but apart from that, looks quite good. And they do seem to have quite a nice big range of different instrument display panels for pretty much a lot of the kits out there. So other than that, hopefully you have enjoyed. Hopefully this is sort of maybe giving you a second thought when you sort of upgrade your kit. You know, maybe not the photo etch route. Maybe you want to spend a little bit more money. Maybe not these days, but maybe a little bit more money and get something a bit more well detailed. But apart from that, until next time, as always, my name is Bob Waldron. This is Genesis Models, and I hope you've enjoyed.